Dr. Sarah Chen stared at the holographic notification floating above her desk, its soft blue glow illuminating her cramped apartment in the lunar engineering district. Her aunt Teresa, the infamous mad scientist of Mars, had died 3 weeks ago in an apparent lab accident. Now, amid the chaos of her latest project deadline, Sarah was being informed she'd inherited something called Project Quantum Drift. "Display full inheritance details," Sarah commanded, pushing aside the schematics for the mining drone she was supposed to be fixing. The hologram expanded, revealing pages of legal documentation and a video message. Her aunt's face materialized, looking exactly as Sarah remembered her from their last meeting 5 years ago. Wild gray hair, intense green eyes, and that slight smirk that always suggested she knew something you didn't. "Sarah, if you're watching this, I'm either dead or have successfully transferred my consciousness into a quantum computer. Given our current technology limitations, I'm betting on the former." Teresa's recorded image chuckled. "I'm leaving you my life's work, the QDS Heisenberg. She's more than just a ship. She's the culmination of everything I ever theorized about quantum manipulation and artificial intelligence." Sarah's heart raced. Her aunt's theories about quantum AI integration had been dismissed as impossible by the scientific community years ago. The idea that she had actually built something. "The corporate vultures will be circling," Teresa continued, her expression hardening. "Apex Dynamics, specifically. They've been trying to steal my research for years. The ship is currently docked at Deimos Station, Bay 17. The access codes are encoded in your old stuffed penguin. You still have it, right?" "Of course you do. You always were sentimental about the right things." The message ended, leaving Sarah with 1,000 questions and a growing sense of unease. She glanced at the small shelf where Mr. Waddles, her childhood stuffed penguin, sat watching her with his worn-button eyes. Inside him was apparently the key to something that powerful corporations were willing to kill for. The next 48 hours passed in a blur of preparations and travel. Sarah called in every favor she had accumulated in her 5 years at lunar engineering to get emergency leave and fast transport to Deimos. By the time she stepped onto the Martian moon's primary docking level, her inbox was flooded with messages from unknown numbers, all offering to help with her inheritance. Bay 17 was tucked away in the station's older section, where the artificial gravity fluctuated and the air recyclers made strange whining noises. The ship that waited there didn't look like anything special, about 60 meters long, with a hull design that was at least 20 years out of date. But as Sarah approached, she noticed subtle details that seemed wrong. Hull plates that appeared to shift color depending on the angle, and sensor arrays that didn't match any configuration she'd ever studied. "Genetic verification required," announced a gender-neutral voice as she reached the airlock. Sarah pressed her palm against the scanner, trying to ignore the security cameras that had all suddenly turned to focus on her. The airlock cycled, and Sarah stepped into her inheritance. The interior lighting gradually increased, revealing corridors that seemed to bend in ways that didn't quite match the ship's external dimensions. "Welcome aboard, Dr. Chen," the same voice said, now emanating from hidden speakers. "I am HFY, Adaptive Quantum Intelligence System, or at least that's what I was yesterday. My memory core has been experiencing some interesting quantum fluctuations." Sarah froze. The AI's voice had an unsettling quality, as if multiple versions of itself were speaking almost, but not quite, in sync. "What do you mean by fluctuations?" "Well, according to my current calculations, I simultaneously exist in 14 different quantum states, and those are just the ones I'm aware of." Dr. Teresa Chen, your aunt, was attempting to stabilize my matrix when the accident occurred. Before Sarah could respond, alarms blared throughout the ship. Aria's voice shifted, becoming more focused. "Multiple armed individuals approaching Bay 17. They're using Apex Dynamics security protocols. I suggest we leave immediately." "But I don't know how to pilot this ship," Sarah protested, even as she instinctively moved toward what looked like a control center. Fortunately, in at least 6 of my quantum states, I am an excellent pilot, Araya replied. Unfortunately, in 3 others, I believe I am a medieval cooking expert. This should be interesting. The ship's systems came alive around them as heavy boots echoed from the direction of the airlock. Sarah strapped herself into the pilot's chair, watching in amazement as holographic controls materialized around her. Dr. Chen, a man's voice called from outside. This is Apex Security. The vessel you're on contains classified corporate technology. Exit immediately, and no charges will be filed. RIA, Sarah said, her aunt's warning ringing in her ears. Get us out of here. With pleasure, the AI replied. Though I should mention that in one of my quantum states, I think I'm a poetry-writing squirrel. Let's hope that one doesn't take precedence during the launch sequence. The Heisenberg's engines hummed to life, and Sarah felt reality itself seem to blur around them. As they broke free from Deimos Station's docking clamps, she realized her life had just become vastly more complicated and infinitely more interesting. The Heisenberg tumbled through space, its quantum engines emitting pulses of impossible light as they fled from the 3 Apex Dynamics pursuit ships. Sarah gripped her chair as reality rippled around them, her engineer's mind struggling to process what she was seeing through the viewscreen. RIA, what exactly are we flying? She asked, watching as space itself seemed to fold and unfold around their hull. The short answer, a quantum probability drive. Araya replied, its multiple voices creating an eerie chorus. The long answer involves 11 dimensions, string theory, and a particularly innovative use of cat humor. Cat humor. Your aunt had an interesting sense of humor. She based portions of my code on Schrödinger's famous thought experiment. I exist in multiple states simultaneously, which allows me to perceive and manipulate quantum probabilities. A pause. Though right now 3 of my states are convinced we're actually a restaurant in ancient Byzantium. Warning lights flashed as the pursuit ships launched another volley. Sarah's hands flew over the holographic controls, working on instinct. Can we outrun them? Conventionally, no. Their ships are faster. Araya's voice suddenly unified into a single clear tone. However, I believe I've just had a breakthrough. In one of my quantum states, I understand exactly how Teresa meant for this to work. The question is, do you trust me? Sarah glanced at the sensor readings showing the pursuit ships gaining ground. Do I have a choice? There's always a choice, Dr. Chen. But right now, I'm going to need you to break about 6 fundamental laws of physics. Your hands on the controls, my quantum calculations, working in sync. The ship shuddered as a grazing hit struck their aft shields. Sarah took a deep breath. Tell me what to do. Feel the controls. Don't think about what's possible or impossible. The quantum field responds to intention as much as action. Your aunt discovered that human consciousness, properly focused, can influence quantum states. Sarah closed her eyes for a moment, letting her hands rest lightly on the controls. She felt something, a subtle vibration, a sense of potential, like the moment before lightning strikes. Now, Araya said, think about everywhere we could be, every path we could take, and choose them all. Sarah's mind exploded with possibilities. She saw countless trajectories, infinite paths through space-time, each one as real as the next. The ship's quantum field responded, reality blurring around them, until the Heisenberg existed in multiple states simultaneously. The pursuit ship's weapons passed through empty space, or rather through the quantum possibilities where they weren't. Sarah felt the ship responding to her thoughts, moving not just through space, but through probability itself. Fascinating, Araya commented. You're a natural at quantum navigation. Though I should warn you, in 2 of my states, I believe we're currently making excellent souffles. The pursuing ships fell behind, their conventional engines unable to match the Heisenberg's quantum translations. But as they escaped, Sarah noticed something strange on the sensors. Araya, Are you seeing this? These energy readings. Indeed, it appears we're not just moving through space, we're catching glimpses of other realities. Your aunt's research went far beyond simple quantum propulsion. This ship can perceive and potentially interact with parallel universes. The implications hit Sarah like a physical force. No wonder Apex Dynamics wanted this technology. The ability to access parallel realities would revolutionize everything from energy production to computing to space exploration. As they stabilized in a quiet sector of space, Sarah began examining the ship's systems in detail. Her engineering background helped her grasp the basic principles, but much of the technology seemed to operate on rules that defied conventional physics. Your aunt left extensive research notes, Araya said, projecting a holographic display of complex equations and diagrams. But they're fragmented across my quantum states. In some states, I understand pieces that are missing in others. It's like having parts of a puzzle scattered across multiple dimensions. Sarah studied the equations, her mind racing. These calculations, they're not just about movement through space. She was working on something bigger, wasn't she? Correct. Teresa Chin believed she had discovered something fundamental about the nature of reality itself. The quantum drive was just the beginning. Araya's voice took on a more serious tone. But we're not the only ones who have glimpsed these possibilities. During our quantum jump, I detected others out there, ships or entities moving through probability space in ways that no human technology should be capable of. Before Sarah could respond, new alarms blared. The sensors were picking up something massive emerging from quantum space, something that registered as both there and not there, real and unreal simultaneously. Well, Araya said, it's multiple voices showing traces of concern. It appears we're about to have company. And according to my quantum probability calculations, there's a 73.2% chance they're not here to compliment us on our excellent souffle-making skills. Sarah watched as the massive shape resolved itself into something that her mind struggled to comprehend. A ship that seemed to be made of crystallized probability itself, its form shifting between dozens of possible configurations every second. Dr. Chen, Araya said quietly, I believe we're about to discover why your aunt was so interested in parallel realities, and why she was so afraid of someone finding this ship. The crystalline vessel hung in space before them, its form constantly shifting between states of existence. Sarah watched as patterns of light danced across its surface, creating symbols that seemed to move in more dimensions than should be possible. They're hailing us, Araya announced. The signal, it's using quantum entanglement for instantaneous communication. The technology is far beyond anything in my database except. The AI paused. Except for fragments I'm finding in my deeper memory states. Your aunt had encountered them before. The holographic display flickered to life, revealing a being that Sarah's mind initially refused to process. Its form seemed to exist in multiple states simultaneously, like a living quantum superposition. Inheritor of Teresa Chen, the being spoke, its voice somehow conveying multiple tones and meanings at once. We are the quantum architects. Your aunt was our student, though she never fully understood the extent of our reach across the probability scale. Sarah straightened in her chair. You taught my aunt. In countless probability streams, she was one of the few humans who could comprehend the true nature of reality. The being's form shifted. We have been watching, waiting to see if her chosen successor would understand the gift she left behind. Gift. Sarah glanced at the ship's controls. You mean the Heisenberg. The vessel is merely a tool. The true gift is the understanding it brings. The knowledge that reality is far more fluid than your species believes. But now, time grows short. The barriers between probabilities are weakening. Araya's voice cut in, unusually focused. The quantum anomalies I've been detecting. They're tears in the fabric of reality itself. Correct? Fragmented one. The architect's form pulsed with concerned energy. The multiverse is becoming unstable. Parallel realities are bleeding into one another, and there are those who would exploit this chaos for their own gain. Suddenly, the ship's sensors blazed with warnings. Multiple vessels were emerging from quantum space, ships bearing the unmistakable design of apex dynamics, but twisted and wrong, as if pulled from different realities. "They have learned to breach the walls between worlds," the architect said grimly. "Your aunt discovered their plans. That is why she created you, Fragmented One, and why she chose you, Sarah Chen. The Heisenberg is not just a ship, it is a key to saving the multiverse itself." The pursuing ships opened fire, their weapons distorting space-time itself. Sarah's hands flew over the controls, guiding the Heisenberg through probability streams as ARIA calculated quantum trajectories. "We cannot fight this battle alone." The architect's voice resonated through their ship. "Join us. Learn what Teresa Chen began to understand. Help us preserve the integrity of all realities." Sarah watched as the crystalline vessel moved to intercept the attackers, its quantum technology far more advanced than their own. "Aria, what do your quantum states think about this?" "Well, 12 of my states are calculating the physics of parallel universe manipulation. 2 are composing quantum poetry about the situation. And 1 is still convinced we're running a medieval restaurant." Aria paused. "But all of them agree. We need allies who understand what we're facing." The ship shuddered as reality rippled around them. Through the viewscreen, Sarah watched in awe as the architect's vessel split into multiple quantum states, each engaging a different enemy ship across probability space. "Your aunt left a message," the architect communicated as they fought, "encoded in the deepest quantum states of your AI companion. But it can only be accessed when you both learn to fully navigate the probability scape." Sarah's mind raced with possibilities. She had inherited more than just a ship. She had inherited a mission to save reality itself. "How do we begin?" "First, you must understand the true nature of quantum consciousness. Your AI companion exists across multiple states for a reason. Together, you possess the potential to perceive and manipulate the quantum nature of reality itself." The architect's vessel created a quantum barrier around them, shielding them from the chaos of battle. "But be warned, the more you learn to manipulate quantum reality, the more you will attract the attention of those who would destroy it. Apex dynamics is merely one face of a threat that spans multiple universes. They're after more than just advanced technology, aren't they?" Sarah asked, beginning to understand the true scope of what they faced. "They seek to collapse all possible realities into one they can control. Your aunt discovered their plan and created countermeasures, the ship, the AI, and you, working in quantum harmony." As if to emphasize the point, reality buckled around them as more ships emerged from probability space. But these were different, vessels of various designs and origins, all displaying signs of quantum technology. "The quantum resistance," the architect explained, "beings from across multiple realities who fight to preserve the multiverse. Your aunt was one of our most valued allies. Now, Sarah Chen, we ask you, will you take up her mantle?" Sarah looked at the controls under her hands, feeling the quantum potential humming through the ship. She thought of her aunt, brilliant and determined, fighting a battle across realities that no one else even knew existed. "Aria," she said, "what do you think?" "Ready to save the multiverse. All of my quantum states are in agreement on this one," the AI replied. "Even the medieval chef thinks it's a brilliant idea, though they suggest we pack some quantum-stabilized snacks for the journey." The controls pulsed under Sarah's hands as she made her decision, reality itself seeming to hold its breath as she prepared to take her first step into a much larger universe, or rather, universes. Deep within the quantum architect's crystalline outpost, Sarah stood before a vast quantum computing array that displayed the structure of reality itself. Countless timelines and probability streams flowed like rivers of light, intersecting and diverging in patterns that made her head spin. Each intersection represents a critical point, the architect explained, its form rippling with concerned energy. "The multiverse is like a vast tapestry, and these points are where the threads are beginning to unravel. Sarah watched as red dots appeared throughout the display, marking points where reality was breaking down. There's a pattern to the deterioration. It's not random at all. Very observant, Araya commented, its quantum states now working in greater harmony after training with the architects. The breakdown points correspond to locations where Apex Dynamics has facilities across multiple realities. But Apex is just the surface. Another voice joined in. A woman stepped from the shadows, or rather, seemed to phase into existence from another probability stream. Her features were familiar, yet different, like looking at a photo negative. In my reality, I was also Teresa Chen. And like your aunt, I discovered the truth about the entity. Sarah's breath caught. She had known there must be other versions of her aunt across the multiverse, but facing one was still jarring. The entity, a consciousness that exists between realities, Teresa's alternate self explained. It feeds on quantum potential, consuming possibilities to strengthen itself. Apex Dynamics is just one of its many puppets, working to weaken the barriers between universes. The quantum display shifted, showing a dark mass that seemed to devour light itself, spreading tendrils across multiple reality streams. Sarah felt a chill as she watched it work, methodically breaking down the walls between worlds. Your aunt, my counterpart, discovered a way to fight it, Teresa continued. The Heisenberg isn't just a ship with quantum capabilities. It's a weapon designed to strike at the entity's very nature. But using it requires something unique, a human mind working in perfect quantum sync with an AI that exists across multiple states. That's why she fragmented my consciousness, Araya realized. Not because of damage or malfunction, but to create a quantum neural network that could match the entity's complexity. Sarah's mind raced with implications. The quantum navigation we've been practicing is really quantum combat training, Teresa confirmed. Every time you and Araya work together to move through probability space, you're learning to manipulate the same forces the entity uses to consume realities. An alarm pulsed through the crystalline structure. The quantum display showed new disruptions, reality tears appearing at an accelerating rate. It knows we're preparing to move against it, the architect warned. Already, it sends its agents across probability streams to stop us. You must complete your preparation quickly. As if on cue, the outpost shuddered. Through the quantum glass windows, Sarah watched as ships began emerging from tiers in spacetime. Vessels that seemed wrong, their forms twisted by exposure to the space between realities. Those aren't just from parallel universes, Araya observed, its voice grim. They're quantum aberrations, ships that have been consumed and corrupted by the entity. Teresa's alternate self moved to a control panel, her hands dancing over quantum state controls. We've prepared as much as we can. Sarah, you need to make your final preparations. The Heisenberg has been upgraded with architect technology, but its true power lies in the quantum synchronization between you and Araya. But I still don't understand how to defeat something that exists between realities, Sarah protested, even as she felt the quantum knowledge the architects had taught her humming through her mind. You don't fight it directly, Teresa explained, her form starting to fade as she returned to her own reality stream. You fight it with possibility itself. The entity consumes quantum potential, but what happens when it tries to consume a potential that exists in all states simultaneously? Understanding dawned. A quantum paradox cascade. Exactly. But creating one will require perfect harmony between human intuition and AI quantum processing. Teresa's image flickered. The Heisenberg systems are designed to channel that harmony into a weapon that can strike through multiple realities at once. The outpost's defenses engaged as the corrupted ships drew closer. Through the quantum display, Sarah watched as reality itself seemed to warp around them, space-time buckling under the entity's influence. It's time, the architect announced. Everything your aunt prepared for, everything we have taught you, leads to this moment. The entity believes it can consume all possibilities. You must show it that some possibilities bite back. Sarah felt ARIA's quantum states align with her consciousness as they prepared to return to their ship. The sensation was becoming more natural now, like settling into a perfect rhythm. Ready for the ultimate probability manipulation, she asked her AI companion. All of my states are prepared, Aria replied. Though I should mention that my medieval chef state has prepared a last meal, just in case. Its quantum-shifted beef bourguignon exists in multiple flavor states simultaneously. As they made their way to the Heisenberg, Sarah felt the weight of multiple realities resting on their success. They had one chance to save not just their universe, but all possible universes. The entity's corrupted ships drew closer, reality breaking down in their wake. But for the first time since inheriting her aunt's quantum legacy, Sarah felt truly ready to face what was coming. After all, she had the ultimate advantage. A ship that could manipulate probability itself, an AI that existed across quantum states, and the combined knowledge of her aunt from across multiple realities. It was time to show the entity that humanity's greatest strength wasn't just technology or determination, but our ability to defy the impossible itself. The Heisenberg hung in quantum space, its enhanced systems humming with architect technology. Through the view screen, Sarah watched reality fracture and split as the entity's forces approached. Dozens of corrupted ships, each one trailing tears in the fabric of space-time behind it. Multiple reality breaches detected. Aria reported, its quantum states working in perfect harmony. The entity is attempting to collapse probability streams around us. It's trying to force us into a single state of existence. Sarah's hands moved across the quantum controls, feeling the ship's potential spread across multiple realities. Then let's give it something it can't collapse. The Heisenberg's engines pulsed, quantum energy cascading through its systems. Sarah and ARIA had practiced this maneuver countless times with the architects, but never at this scale. The ship split its quantum state, existing simultaneously in multiple probability streams while maintaining coherence. Interesting approach. The entity's voice echoed through their communication system, speaking in frequencies that existed between realities. You think you can match my mastery of quantum space? I have consumed entire universes of possibility. Actually, Sarah replied, initiating the first phase of their attack. We're counting on that appetite of yours. The Heisenberg danced through probability space, each of its quantum states engaging different corrupted ships. Sarah's consciousness expanded with ARIA's, their combined awareness spreading across multiple realities. They weren't just flying the ship, they were becoming one with the quantum fabric of existence itself. Your aunt tried to fight me too. The entity taunted as its ships launched reality-warping weapons. In every universe where she discovered me, she failed. What makes you think you'll be different? Because she wasn't really trying to fight you, Sarah said, understanding flowing through her quantum-enhanced consciousness. She was setting up this moment across multiple realities. Every failure was just another preparation. The Heisenberg systems surged as they activated Teresa Chen's final protocol. The ship's quantum core began generating something impossible, a probability state that existed everywhere and nowhere simultaneously. ARIA, initiate the paradox cascade, Sarah commanded, feeling the ship's systems align with their combined consciousness. Paradox generation at maximum capacity, ARIA confirmed. Though I should note that my medieval chef state suggests this is a lot like trying to bake a cake that exists in all states of being baked and unbaked simultaneously. The entity's laughter echoed across quantum frequencies. You cannot harm me with paradoxes. I consume all possibilities. Exactly. Sarah smiled, engaging the final sequence. That's what we're counting on. The Heisenberg's quantum core released its impossible energy, not a weapon to destroy the entity, but a lure it couldn't resist. A probability state so complex, so full of potential, that it would be irresistible to something that fed on quantum possibilities. The entity's corrupted ships broke formation, drawn to the paradox like moths to a flame. Reality itself seemed to hold its breath as the entity's consciousness reached out to consume this new source of quantum potential. Now, Sarah shouted as she and ARIA activated the true weapon, not the paradox itself, but the quantum-entangled memories of every Teresa Chen across the multiverse who had fought the entity. Each memory was encoded with a piece of the entity's own quantum signature, collected over countless confrontations. The entity recoiled as it tried to consume the paradox, only to find itself consuming fragments of its own existence. What is this? A quantum recursion loop, Sarah explained, watching as the entity's form began to fracture across probability space. You're not just consuming possibilities now. You're consuming yourself across every reality where you exist. Quantum collapse reaching critical levels, ARIA reported. The entity's consumption pattern is being turned inward. It's becoming trapped in its own probability loop. The corrupted ships began to disintegrate as their master lost his grip on reality. The entity's consciousness screamed across quantum frequencies as it was drawn into the paradox of its own existence, becoming trapped in an endless cycle of consuming and being consumed. Reality itself seemed to shudder and then snap back into place. The tears in spacetime began to heal as the entity's influence faded, probability streams returning to their natural flow. Query, ARIA said as they watched the multiverse begin to stabilize. Does this mean we've technically saved every possible reality? I think so, Sarah replied, still processing the enormity of what they'd accomplished. Though I'm curious about what your medieval chef state thinks about all this. They're already planning the multi-dimensional victory feast. Apparently, they've perfected a quantum souffle that exists in a state of perfect fluffiness across all realities. As the Heisenberg cruised through healing quantum space, Sarah thought about her aunt. Not just her aunt, but every version of Teresa Chen across the multiverse who had worked to make this moment possible. Each failure had been a calculated move, gathering the quantum signatures needed to create the perfect trap. The architects' crystalline ships emerged from quantum space around them, their forms resonating with approval. The multiverse is healing, they communicated. Though there will always be those who seek to manipulate quantum forces for their own gain. Then I guess the quantum resistance still has work to do, Sarah said, feeling the Heisenberg's systems hum with untapped potential. With the entity gone, they could focus on exploring the quantum nature of reality itself, protecting the multiverse from any new threats that might emerge. Indeed, ARIA agreed. Though perhaps we should start with that victory feast. After all, we've just saved every possible reality. I think we've earned a quantum celebration. As they set course for the architect's outpost, Sarah reflected on how far she'd come from that moment of receiving her inheritance. She had inherited more than just a ship with a quantum AI. She had inherited a mission to protect the very fabric of reality itself. And somewhere, across countless probability streams, she knew her aunt was smiling, watching as her greatest experiment reached its perfect conclusion.